The Dream is in Your Hands Educational Youth Conference, dropping jewels on the next generation. My name is Lamarck, and I'm the host of the Fresh Movement on Party 101.9 Radio. Today, I will be speaking with Gary Sipich from Chicago about the importance of work ethic in the music industry. Gary understands the importance of working hard to achieve your goals. He has worked with the Cool TV and grew the organization from formation to be the largest digital out-of-home TV network in America. That's over 44 million monthly viewers. He negotiated and secured multi-year digital licensing agreements, including Universal, Sony, Warner Music Group, and EMI, as well as securing national blanket licenses with ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. Gary, welcome to the conference.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me. I'm
No
Mark. How are
problem.
you?
I'm great. How are you doing on this lovely Friday, or Thursday afternoon?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Happy to be here. Happy to be healthy, and looking forward to hopefully spreading some good info to our next generation.
Awesome. So, first question, how has work ethic played a role throughout your career experience?
Yeah, it's played a role really since day one. I think aside from parents, being mentors or other family members, I think I've been fortunate to have great mentors, throughout my entire career trajectory to this day. And, I think that learning from others, regardless of what industry you might go into, for me, it was music, although when I was in college, I had no idea that I was going to go into the music business. But I think it's important to, find those people within your industry that might be, local. It might be through a teacher that can make an introduction, and learn all you can. We're very fortunate today that we live in a digital era where there's so much information online. There's so many wonderful, virtual conferences like this. The access to information for people is unprecedented. And learn as much about your industry as you possibly can, and find out who those leaders are, and reach out to them, get involved. It's really important. You should do that throughout, not just when you're. I still
Right.
so.
Yeah. Now I know that your career path sometimes, especially entertainment, can be very difficult and a lot of rejection. Do you want to touch on rejection in the entertainment field and how that you haven't kind of surpassed that? Because a lot of people takes
Yeah,
rejection and kind of end it there.
sure. And I would say, you know what, you're going to get rejection in some way or form throughout your entire career. I still get rejection. It may not come off as, cold rejection as you might feel it being younger, where you don't have the experience. But I don't really ever look at it as rejection. I kind of look at it, or I've learned to look at it as a learning experience, whatever it was.
Right.
There might be legitimate reasons why. Um, and you have to look at those reasons and say, okay, well, how can I change, you know, things in the future so that I approach it a different way, or I don't make the same mistake, or whatever that case may be. If you want, is it okay if I give you a quick example?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. And this is not related to me specifically, but to one of the songwriters that we happen to work with. His name is Sebastian Cole. By far one of the most successful songwriters today. Trust me when I tell you, there are plenty of songs you've all heard that Sebastian has written, even if you don't know it. But songwriting can, no matter how big you might be as a songwriter, it can be a very a very rejection feeling type of form of the industry, because as a writer, no matter how good you are, and even if you've been attached to hit records, it doesn't mean that every record you write is going to inevitably be a hit. There's so many factors that determine that. It's always going to be a great song, but there's so many of the things that you can't control, as to the trajectory of where that song goes. And first and foremost, you have to do it for the love and the passion of it, and
Right.
you let the rest follow, and you kind of move on to the next thing, right? And so think about that. Here you are, you've got a number one, song that you've written on the charts, and now all of a sudden you have 500 other songs, that you've written, and it could be a year or 2 years before you ever get another song like that placed. Doesn't mean that any of those songs weren't great. There were just things that you couldn't, control. So And I'm telling that quick story just to say that at every level of what you do, there's going to be some kind of rejection. And, you just have, like I say, you learn from it, you move on, you never look back other than learning from situations and go forward. That's all.
During those during those difficult times, what gets you through? Like what pushes you through those type of times?
Yeah, I think keeping that really good support network around you. And while general friends and general family are great, right? That's your initial core comfort zone, if you will. You have to have those around you that are experienced in the industry that you're in or that you want to go in, because they're going to speak to you oftentimes much more constructively about that particular industry.
Right.
If you're someone in your family is an attorney, let's just say, and you're going into, you're going to work for Ford Motor Company, likely the attorney doesn't know a whole heck of a lot
Yeah.
about the auto industry per se. So while they're great for information and support, you need to align with some folks that understand and that have the experience in that particular industry. So always being informed, always being a sponge and always learning and surrounding yourself with as many people that have experience as you can will make you feel more comfortable about decisions that you make and more confident in decisions that you make.
How important is networking in the industry?
I think networking is critical in any industry. It's so important. And there are so many different tools to do that today. I was an early person on with LinkedIn. And while it's still a major networking tool today, there's lots of other ones that have come around since then. And one thing I will tell you is that if you use a networking tool like LinkedIn, don't treat it like Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. You don't want to just accept requests from anybody, right? You want to make sure that if I'm going to accept you as a friend, so to speak, in this social networking platform, whatever it is, let's make sure we had a conversation or we met or something where I know something about you, not just because, oh, they're trying to connect with me.
Yeah.
Um, you want to stay true to the core of what you're trying to do. I'm blessed that over all these years I've built up this incredible Rolodex, and I don't know, I think I probably have 12 or 1300 people in it. And while there are plenty of people that I might not have talked to in years, I could probably go through all 12 or 1300, and it won't take me long to figure out when I met them or how I met them. Was it by phone, whether it was in person? Because you never know, one day is going to come around and that person that you connected with is going to say, hey, could you refer me to so and so? And why would you ever refer somebody that you don't know just because you connected with them to be nice?
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So, but yes, getting back to the core of that question, I think you always have to be networking regardless of where you're at within an organization, small or big. So it doesn't matter if you're in more of a front facing role, sales, marketing, where you're interacting with consumers, you're interacting with vendors. Even if you're in the back end in accounting, you still want to keep up a good network of people within especially your industry sector, because guess what? You never know where things are going to go, and you might be looking for a new job. Something might happen with your company, and
Exactly.
someone you developed a relationship with 5 years ago is going to say, man, Lamarck, there's a great opportunity, and I've had it happen.
Yeah.
It's such a small world that we live in today. We used to joke about 6 degrees of separation. I really believe it's 2 degrees of separation these days, especially if you've been around for enough years and you've
Yeah.
built a certain level of a Rolodex within your industry. Man, it's shocking sometimes just how many people you really are just one person removed from.
Right. That's why you have to be a nice person, a good person, because you never know who you might be meeting. So
Yeah, no, without
always.
a doubt. Without a doubt.
We have a question from a student. What
Sure.
tools do you need to stay ahead of the competition?
Hmm. I would say make sure whatever industry you are focused on going into, and that could change down the line. Make sure you're subscribing to some of the free industry newsletters. Make sure you're following some of the blogs. Anywhere that you can get information from experts. And that's both from a national perspective. Again, if it's a podcast you listen to, if it's, there's probably 4 main industry newsletters that I subscribe to, and I'll scan, the headlines of those, and I'll key in on ones that are more of interest to me. I'll participate in certain clubhouse rooms for those who know about Clubhouse if I think it's a good topic. I mean, I'm always, I was recently, I had a friend of mine who's very active in the film industry, and she was moderating a panel, and she sent me a note, oh, join in. And the beauty of participating was I could just listen because I'm not an expert in film. And it was so great to just sponge in and not have to be someone that's giving the information. I could take in the information. So I think you just have to be open to those things, but always be willing to, to absorb as much good information in that industry as you can.
Awesome. You're dropping so many great gems. I hope that the listeners are really paying attention and really listening to what you're saying, because you are really, your resume is incredible. Like I was saying backstage, like it's phenomenal.
One thing I want to add, if you don't mind, before you ask the question is, and maybe this is kind of special to our industry, meaning the music industry, but we generally, because we work with developing talent, right? So that's our core focus, EP Entertainment, which is where I've been for the last 6 years. Our core focus is developing talent, whether you're an artist, songwriter, a producer, or any combination of those 3. So when you talk about developing talent, generally that means you're dealing with a lot of young people, right? Yeah. And if you're in a big organization, right, you're in a big company and it's a different industry, technology, you might not always, there might be lots of layers in between you and young people, right? But for us, we're on the same layer. I look at young talent as equally as I do my colleagues, because there's as much for them to learn as there is for us to learn from them. And so I think it's really important to always recognize that. You want to respect it being younger, but at the same token, like I say, you have an opinion, about, like I say, in our case, we're inevitably, music is being marketed to the younger demographic. I'm not the younger demographic anymore. So I'm going to go to the younger people and say, hey, help me understand how you use TikTok, how you use SoundCloud, how you use Instagram, right? All these different things. So I think it's always so important to maintain that open relationship between the younger generation and the older generation. We find it all the time in music. We give the same respect to the assistant at the front desk as we do to the president of the label, because I can't tell you how many assistants have become the executive vice presidents or even the presidents of record companies or publishing companies. So always remember that it's not where that person is today, it's where that person's going to go.
And last question, the dream is in your hands. What does that mean to you?
I mean, you really control your own destiny. That's really what it is at the end of the day. And all the tools are really at your fingertips. It's just a matter of how you want to use those tools. And I don't care what the industry is. I'm a firm believer in you got to be happy, because if you're happy, you're passionate about what you do. Don't worry about finding the perfect job out of college, making the biggest paycheck. That will come. Because if you are happy in what you're doing, whether you're a school teacher, whether you're a bus driver, whether you're an accountant, whether you're in the music and whatever that may be, nothing is more important than happiness, because you will absolutely, happiness is more important than anything. Yes, you have to be able to make money to sustain life, but money will come,
Right.
Make the sacrifices when you're young. Because here's one last nugget that I'll drop on you, and I want you to keep this in mind, right? Is that your return on investment of time is probably the most valuable nugget that I can give you. And the reason that I say that is that the older you get, the less time you have. So what you do with that time becomes increasingly more important. So while you have the time, leverage the crap out of that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially in that, college age to maybe 30, early 30s, don't worry about, how much money you're making. Yes, you have to put food on the table. You have to do the core things. I get that. But I'm just saying, don't worry about that. Don't worry in the social media world about how many followers I have. forget the followers. Trust me when I tell you the followers are not important. And I know the younger generation tends to, a lot of them
Yeah.
focus on, oh, I want more followers. Focus on the core, stay true to who you are. I cannot stress that enough, because it will work against you later on when you're someone that you're not, because then your followers will have been based on somebody that you're not, and that's of no value.
I agree. Gary, I can talk to you all day. You're just dropping gems left and right. But we do have to go. Before we go, please let the audience know where they can find you or follow you at.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not real active. I mean, I don't post regularly, but on Instagram is probably the best place, and it's just at Gary Sipich, or just my first and last name all together. I would say, follow EP Entertainment, because we're usually posting things on what's going on with any of the talent that that we're working with. And I'm generally pretty open when I get an occasional DM or an email. So if I can be of help to anybody, I'm happy to do that.
I will definitely email you. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Lamarck. You can follow me on Instagram, Lamarck_fresh. And make sure you guys go to LinkedIn and follow Create the Dream Co. and Instagram and hashtag Dream Conference 2021. Stay tuned for the next segment. Gary, you've been a pleasure.
Thanks so much, Lamarck. Thanks, everybody. Good luck in whatever you guys decide to do.